All right, let's go through some notes for Chapter 4. So Chapter 4 of the Year 12 textbook. We're now moving into algebra. As an FYI, for the exams for Year 12s, Chapter 4 isn't too big. They don't do a lot of algebra, but they do have questions on it. So there's about like maybe 3 to 4 marks overall. So even if you don't know it, it's still okay. There is a component of logic with line of best fit that you will need to know. That they do use quite a bit. Okay. But for today's lesson, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to learn 2 key skills. Number 1, you are going to learn to evaluate formulas. What does that mean? And then rearrange formulas, which I think for some of us, that might be tricky. Okay, and then that's the only part that you may need to practice that does come up on multiple choice. Evaluating, I believe most students get. Okay, so remember, pronumeral is a, fill it in, letter that represents an unknown number. So a number that we don't know, but it represents that. What's an example? This rectangle here, we know that length is the longer side, width is the shorter side. Okay, but instead of writing the word length, because I don't know how long the length is, we may use the letter L. So that L represents the length, even though I don't know how long that length is yet. And we may use the letter W to represent the length of the width, even though I don't know what it is. But I do know that the area for this rectangle, we normally say it's length times width. So here, length times width will give me the area of a rectangle, or you can write L times W. Okay? This is called a formula. So what you see here, this is a formula. So the two key skills today is you're trying to rearrange this formula and also solve the formula. So evaluating. Boys, actively taking notes or actively listening, but not whatever you're doing with your laptop. It's inappropriate. Here we go. So, therefore, the letter L and W represent a number that we don't know, hence, aka pronumerals. Ooh, what's happened there? Let's close. Not sure. When you write the letters next to a number, one of the things that you needed to remember, a letter next to a number, in between is, what's in between 3 and A? Times. Make sure it's a times or multiplication, because that's the first skill in evaluating. So this means 3 times A, and same thing with 3ABC. If you didn't realize it as well, that's a letter next to a letter, and that's a number next to a letter. So therefore, it actually means 3 times A times B times C. Can you please copy that down? So the first skill is being able to identify when you have the times, and addition's easy. It's more knowing when the times come in, and then you substitute values to evaluate. That's the first skill. Second skill is to reorganize. And that to me is where some students may struggle with BODMAS, working backwards and reorganizing, and they call it transposing. So your first skill is substitution. Your second skill is rearranging. Like I said, if you don't know how to rearrange, it's okay. In the exam, it's very little. It's not too many marks. All right. So we've covered what a pronumeral is. It's a letter that represents a number. So here we go. Here's a formula that's given. This is actually in physics. It's the formula for velocity, okay, which you don't need to know. I'm just showing you this is the formula. So it's saying V equals to AT, but remember AT means A times T, okay? And then you're plussing U. So as long as I know what A is and what T is, then I can do A times T and then plus U. That's called evaluating. In this case, they told us that A is equal to 2, T is equal to 10, and U equals to 5. So that means when I put them all together, this should be A, which is 2, or what's going on again? Thank you. A equals 2 times T, which is 10, plus U, which is 5. So what you're typing in your calculator, or you can do it by hand, 2 times 10 plus 5. In this case, what is this equal to? 2 times 10 plus 5 is equal to? 25. Very good. So that's called evaluating. So that's what I'm saying, that most students should be able to do evaluating as part of the exercise. I'm pretty sure as long as you're reading them correctly and substituting correctly, that's the first skill. The second skill is the one that I might not be confident that everyone is strong at. It depends on the equation. Okay, so it depends on what equation I give you. If I give you fractions, it's probably a bit harder. In the exams, you can get a bit of both. Okay, let's try rearranging now. Let's flip over the page. So that's for evaluating. Everyone here should be able to tick off a skill on evaluating. Now, when you are transposing, that's the technical name. If they say transpose, that just means rearranging. Okay, so if you don't know what that means, it just means rearranging. You have to use what we call BODMAS, the opposite of BODMAS, which I like to call it SAMDUB. Fill that in. So back then, when you're learning to transpose or reorder algebraic equations, you actually had to go backwards of BODMAS. Means you focus on subtraction addition first, then you look at multiplication division second, before you undo any brackets or powers third. Okay, so that's the order that you should be focusing on. Get rid of any addition or subtraction first, move those first, before you move multiplication division, before you move any brackets.
If S is minus plus is A, X is and like division is D, then what's O?
O is order, which back then they used to call powers orders. So
O and B are both.
Orders means the powers, and B means brackets.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would have to get rid of the order first before you get rid of the brackets. But whereas multiplication division, doesn't matter which one, just moving from left to right. And then same thing with subtraction and addition, you move from left to right. So here's an example. We had a formula, area is equal to length times width for the area of a rectangle. Notice there's no addition or subtraction. So the thing that I can rearrange now is next is multiplication or division. So let's say when they say make L the subject, what this means in human language is instead of the letter A being at the front, make L the first one. So this means make L equals something. That's what they mean by make L the subject. Right now, this is A is the subject. A is the subject. So what they're trying to say is using the formula, what if I don't want to find the area? I want to find L. So meaning I want a formula for L instead. So in this case here, we need to rearrange this formula to make L the subject. How do you do that? Well, I've already got L on this side of the equation. I just need to get rid of W. But to get rid of W, that's currently times W. So this is where we have to think about what's the opposite of times. Opposite of times is? Divide. So that means I'll be dividing both sides, to divide W, or if you prefer, say divide W, divide W. W times W and then divide W, they're opposites, so they'll cancel out. And then you end up with, on the other side, A divided by W. So here you write A divided by W. It's a bit laggy today. Not sure what's going on. But there we go. This is the proper way of writing it. A over W is the proper way, but I do know students generally find fractions a bit trickier, but that's how you get L is equal to A over W. So what's the answer? When they say make L the subject, the answer is L is equal to A divided by W. That's your formula. Now that's what I mean. I think transposing in this exercise is probably where it'll challenge some of you when it comes to BODMAS and going backwards. Okay, so the more I add into the formula, the more you got to use SAMDUB. That's where it gets tricky. Okay, let's do one example or a couple of examples so that you get a feel of how I use SAMDUB. To make this one for first A, part A, make A the subject, part B, make T the subject, and then part C, make H the subject. Here we go. Let's do the first one. So remember, two letters next to each other means it has a times in between. So C is equal to A times B plus D. That's the equation. What am I trying to make the subject? A is the subject. I want to make A the subject. So the letter A here, I'm going to highlight it. You want that by itself. You want that to be the subject. So I need to get rid of times B and I need to get rid of plus D. Here we go. Times B plus D. Now looking at Sam Dobb, the one that I just gave to you, this is backwards of BUDMAS. So Sam Dobb. Backwards of BUDMAS. First thing you should look for. Do we have any addition or subtraction? Any addition or subtraction? Based on this bit. Yes or no? Yes, we do. We've got plus D. Get rid of that first. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. You're going backwards from BUDMAS. So you're going backwards by undoing the addition or subtraction. Don't get rid of B first. Get rid of D. So here, opposite of plus D, we then say minus D. Because plus D minus D will cancel out. But whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So here, I then minus D on the left as well. So you minus on the right, you must minus on the left to keep it balanced. This now leaves it as C minus D on the left. D subtract D, or positive D take away D, will cancel out to be 0, or it's gone. So all I have left now is A times B. So A is what I want. I've got rid of the plus D, and I went through SamDob to do that. So get rid of any subtraction addition. So the next one is get rid of times B. To get rid of times B, we do the next step. So next step it says get rid of any multiplication or division. And yes, we do. We have a multiplication of B. Opposite of multiplication, which is divide. So in this case, you divide B, and then you divide B. Now be careful when you divide B on this side. See, that's C minus D. They come together. So when you divide B, it's C minus D divided by B. They have to come together. What I'm trying to say there is I'm trying to say it should be C minus D all over B. Don't do this. Don't do C minus D divided by B, because that means something different. Okay, so this means C subtract D divided by B, but this came together first. So when you divide by B, it's actually C minus D all divided by B first. Okay, so that's a common one. Common mistake when it comes to the division part. So that one's correct. This one's incorrect. Okay. What happens on the right side? So remember, I've divided B on both sides, and B divided by B, or times B and divide B are opposites. They'll cancel out. And I've got A. This is me making A the subject, A by itself. So if you want to finish off your answer, you can write A is equal to C minus D first, then divide everything by B. That's the correct answer. That's what I'm saying. I can see that sometimes mistakes will come about when you start doing things like this. Okay, so this is the second skill that you need. The first skill most students will get. It's the second skill to make sure that you can work through that kind of practice. Let's try the next one. B, same idea, Sam Dobb. Here we go. We've got another letter next to a letter. So what this means is you've got U plus A times T. Okay, and you want to make T the subject. So T you want by itself. You need to get rid of times A. And notice that's a U, but it's a positive U, so this is actually plus U. Most students may not realize, but that means plus U there. So you got add on U, and you got times by A. So using SamDob, which one do we get rid of first? Is it the plus U, or is it the times A? Which one do we get rid of first? Plus U or times A? Which one do I want to remove first? Plus U. So look for subtraction, addition first before any multiplication and division. So here, get rid of the plus U.
So you go minus U.
Beautiful. Minus U on the right. Whatever you do to the right, you must do to the left. So minus U on the left as well. Positive U, take away U will cancel out. That means what I have left now is V minus U on the left is equal to, the U's have cancelled out, and I still have times A to the T. So it's A times T there. This is still here. And I still have the times.
You go divide.
Beautiful. And what do you have to be careful of when you're dividing?
You don't write it as like v minus u over t.
Very good. It should be...
Yeah.
Very good. Must be all together. All of this together. V minus u came together first. Then you divide it all by a. Don't do it just individually. Okay? So divide both sides by a. Times a. Divide a will cancel out. That's how you end up with t by itself, which is making it the subject. Your answer should then be v minus u divided by a. Okay? Don't write them separately. They have to come together. And that's your answer for t. Last example for today. Then I'll give you a couple of minutes to adjust, and then I'll be calling up about 12 students to check your work on chapter 3. Here we go. C. V is equal to AH over 3. It says make H the subject. Remember, a letter next to a letter means times, so this is V equals A times H divided by 3. Our goal is to find H. We want to get rid of times A, and this is divide 3. Okay, there are two parts there. 1 and 2. Times A and divide 3. Now in SAMDUB, there is no subtraction or addition. You can get rid of multiplication or division next. Now most students will then try to do M first because they're used to SAMDUB. That A there is the numerator and the denominator is divide 3. It still works. You can get rid of M first. I personally find that most students hate fractions. So my advice is get rid of the denominator first. It actually doesn't matter. You can get rid of A first if you want to, but I'd say get rid of the 3. Okay? And that's just because I know students don't like fractions. So instead of divide 3, so this means divide 3. Remember that. This means divide 3. What's the opposite of divide 3? Times. So to get rid of it, you do the opposite of that. So you do times 3. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Times 3 and divide 3 are opposites, so they will cancel. So now you lose that division, means you lose the fraction. That means on the left side, you got 3 times V is equal to the division of 3 and times 3 have cancelled out. So you got A times H. That is a lot easier if you got rid of the 3 rather than getting rid of A. If you got rid of A, you still have the fraction. So that's why I think getting rid of a fraction makes it easier. Okay, so that's why in SAMDUB, it actually doesn't matter which one you get rid of first, whether it's M or D. They're both in the same category. Okay? And then remember, our goal is to find H. Last step here. That's a times A. So the opposite of times A? Divide A. Very good. So here I say divide A on the right. Then I'll divide left side by A as well. A's will cancel out. So it's times A, divide A. That means my final answer is H, which is the subject, is equal to 3 times V all over A. You can write it as 3V instead of writing 3 times V. 3V works as well, but I'm just writing it so it's clear to you what it should look like. All right, I'm going to zoom out. That's the practice. So the second skill is what I want to see probably later on. At the moment, I'm more curious about your percentage skills. That's what I want to know. Can you do percentages? Can you convert percentages? And then can you use percentages to find, increase, decrease, profit and loss? That's what last week was all about. All right, so I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to readjust, get your notes ready, and then I'm going to call a bunch of students up.